Hi mamas! This is Tony, co-founder of the Chicago Birthworks Collective, and this is our YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us. Today our topic is morning sickness. And much like you, I'm sure if you're viewing this video, I guess you're experiencing some things, or you might have some questions if you're experiencing morning sickness or not. I've experienced morning sickness in more than half of my pregnancies. My daughter experienced morning sickness. Many of my clients have experienced it. It's not fun. Downright unpleasant. And you mix that in with all the things of being pregnant and now you're puking. It's a lot to deal with. So let's break it down and find out what causes morning sickness. So imagine your body is making it has all these stored nutrients, vitamins and different things and hormones that are already stored in your body. Now your body says, we have a baby. We've implanted a baby. We're going to grow a baby. All of those nutrients are then sucked out of the stored parts of your body and drawn into making this new fetus, making the placenta that's going to help to carry the fetus and nourish the fetus. And it's also making the baby. So your HCG levels, which is a pregnancy hormone, those are rising pretty rampantly. Hence how you got the positive pregnancy test. So you mix all of those things together and those hormones are coming out of your body, the nutrients are coming out of your body, going into the placenta, going into making the baby. You're not always left with a lot. And that depletion of minerals, vitamins, and different hormones in your body sometimes leaves you feeling nauseated, wanting to vomit, and other things during your pregnancy. Some of the other things that can cause morning sickness, the rising levels of your HCG, an enlarged placenta for other reasons, but most of the times it's because you're having multiples, which was the case in my situation. So mamas, morning sickness typically lasts, when you first start to feel it, is somewhere around that 4 to 6 week mark when you get the positive pregnancy test. That's when all your symptoms kind of wash over you and they hit you pretty hard and you start to think like, I might be pregnant. This feels different. So most of the times morning sickness will subside into your second trimester. Other times it will not. And you are going to be okay if you are the other. I have been the other many times. I had a twin pregnancy that was riddled with nausea and vomiting. I mean, from the time I could put food into my mouth, it wanted to come back out. And I could then put more food down and all of that food would come back up. It later transitioned me into a hospital stay at 29 weeks because I couldn't keep any food down. My babies at the time were about 1.5 pounds, which was very underweight, but I was having a really hard time keeping food down, and I had a really bad loss of appetite toward those latter going into the 3rd trimester. Other times I've experienced where I could not tolerate a sip of water. And that was still in my 1st trimester. And I was then hospitalized and diagnosed with hyperemesis. So there are different degrees of morning sickness and different lengths of time that it can last and different symptoms that accompany it. Morning sickness is not just in the morning. It can happen throughout the day. It can wake you up in the middle of the night, and it can last your entire pregnancy all the way into delivery, and sometimes after. I'm sorry, but it's true. Let's get into a little detail, ladies, about the symptoms surrounding morning sickness. We know that it doesn't always occur in the morning. It can occur at any time of the day, and it doesn't necessarily leave in your 1st trimester. So with that being said, cool fact, most pregnancies that are affected by nausea and vomiting don't end in miscarriage. Most of the times those babies are carried to term. One of the other cool things about nausea and vomiting during pregnancy is your body is set up with a natural mechanism that prevents it from eating anything that's harmful. So when you're making a new baby, sometimes the baby can have your allergies, or it can have their own personal set of allergies or aversions, sensitivities to different foods. I.e., my son only let me eat corn and potatoes, and I had hyperemesis during his pregnancy. I couldn't stand the smell of meat, or raw meat, or cooked meat, and just different food aversions. Food aversions, they're real things. Just like you can have a craving when you're pregnant for something normal or something really peculiar. Food aversions are things that smell just awful. They could be something that is normal in your everyday life, or it could be something that you just developed a new sensitivity to. It could be your partner's cologne, their toothpaste, their body wash, your own body wash, your own toothpaste. So it's really good to know what your aversions are so that you can avoid them, so you don't put yourself in a situation of becoming nauseated because you're exposing yourself to the different aversions that you have a sensitivity to. So with that being said, let's talk about some of the things that you can do to help once the morning sickness and the nausea and the vomiting has already started to occur. 1. So when it comes to liquids, you'll be able to find out what your stomach can tolerate. Different pregnancies for me, I knew that I could not drink cold things. And in other pregnancies, I could tolerate cold things. But one thing that was true in both pregnancies, I could not tolerate large sums of fluid in my stomach at one time. So I either had to sip them slowly, or I had to use a straw. But it helped a lot to not drink with my meal. So drinking before my meal, still sipping, or through the straw, or drinking after my meal. I oftentimes would only pair warm drinks with a warm meal, or cold drinks with a cold meal. Something about mixing the two together, if the food was hot and the drink was cold, it upset my stomach too much. And it's not a good feeling. So drinks. Chamomile teas are really good. Green tea is really good. I would avoid alcohol, and I would avoid alcohol, and I would avoid pop or things with carbonation, because sometimes they can give you a little bit of that. They can add to the bubbling that you already have. And if you're already having some nausea and vomiting, you don't really want to have something on your stomach that's making you gassy. It could make it worse. So number 2. I like to start off with getting out of the bed in the morning. So when you get out of the bed in the morning, it's a bit of a routine. And if you just jump right up, your stomach gets jarred and you're running to the restroom to, hurl. Some of the things you can do to avoid having to do that is, 1, when you first wake up in the morning, this is number 2, but the first thing you do when you first wake up in the morning is sit up in the bed. Before you swing your feet on the bed, you want to sit up on your side, not coming straight up. You want to come up on your side. You want to sit in the bed for 1 to 3 minutes, allowing all of your organs to readjust and take their new position, because everything was just lying down. And you already are cramped for space because your organs are constantly moving. The baby is constantly growing. So you want to give your body time to adjust to you being upright. After the 1 to 3 minute pause, you want to swing your feet over the side of the bed, touch your feet to the floor, and you want to wait 1 to 3 minutes again. Giving yourself time for your body to adjust, for your legs to wake up, and everything to settle in your new position. Once you stand up, once again, you want to wait 1 to 3 minutes. It seems a little tedious, but I promise you it really helps. And as you increase in size and you growing through, the different stages of the pregnancy and into the third trimester, you'll start to move slower anyway. And you'll understand the importance of taking your time when moving. So that's getting out of the bed as our step number 2 for things that help with the nausea and the vomiting. Once you're out of the bed, you want to try and eat like crackers or graham crackers, saltines, other crackers that you might enjoy. And you don't want to eat a lot of them. You just want enough to absorb some of the stomach acid in your stomach so that you can have time to prepare your meal for breakfast, take a shower, or whatever your morning routine is. This is just a way of keeping that stomach acid at bay so that you don't have any morning sickness per se from just waking up. We're talking about number 3 now. So number 3, when it comes to preparing your meals, when you're suffering from severe nausea and vomiting, it would behoove you to eat a smaller meal. So I always recommend to my clients and to my daughter, and I did it for myself, find a small plate or a small bowl that's tolerable for you. Just before you feel that full feeling, it's a little tedious because you'll have to eat more frequently, but if you find a small portion bowl or plate to eat your meals from, you'll have more success with keeping your food down and not making your stomach upset by making your meals smaller. So if you have a lunch meal and you spread it out over 3 hours and every 45 minutes to an hour you eat another portion of it, it'll do you better because your body is in that constant state of breaking down the nutrients. So you're not depleting and you're not overly full because by the time you're ready to eat again, the food's processing from your previous meal. Making sure that you keep your vitamin levels high. So one of the things that I struggled with was taking my prenatal vitamins. There are a lot of different tricks. There are so many different vitamins on the market now. Once you find the vitamin that works for you, then you're halfway through it. But there can be some aversion to the smell of the vitamin or how it makes you feel afterwards. I had a problem with it making me nauseous after I got it down, so it never would stay down. So some of the things I did to keep it down was I would put it in between a meal, and sometimes that helped, sometimes it didn't. You can practice with taking it at night before you go to bed, with a little bit of food or a little bit of crackers or something small. One of the other things for helping with the nausea and vomiting, it helps to have a taste in your mouth. So I chewed gum, or I had mints, or I used hard candy. So you'll find, and ginger chews. You'll find that these things help with keeping a taste in your mouth so that you're not salivating so much during, which can kind of make you nauseous and kind of make your stomach a little jittery. Sometimes our bodies feel nauseous, or you feel like you're going to puke when you don't have enough food in your body, or you're a little dehydrated, or your vitamin levels are off. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right amount of nutrients and vitamins for the pregnancy. The vitamins that would be really helpful during this time period are B12 supplements. It helps to absorb your food and break the food down so that you don't have that feeling of nausea. One of the things that I found to be helpful, and my daughter found it to be helpful for her. So sugar, foods are mostly broken down into sugar. Sugar is going to burn faster, so you want to have something that's going to be a little slower burning. Proteins burn slower. So if you're having problems with nausea and vomiting, it helps to have a semi-elevated protein diet, because protein burns slower. It's a slow burning fuel in the body. So you'll have energy that your body is running on, as opposed to the sugar, which it might burn off a lot faster because you are making a baby and a placenta. So your body's doing a lot of work whether you're moving or not. Some high protein snacks that are good for good fuel consumption for breaking down nutrients in the body so that you have enough energy. Fish, lean chicken, lean turkey, cheese, but in small amounts, not an excessive amount of cheese. It could have the opposite effect for you. Nuts, and everything you want to do in moderation, and you want to match against whatever list you have for your aversions. Okay, ladies, I know that might have been a little bit all over the place, but let's do a recap of some of the things that you can do to help with the nausea and vomiting. So let's start off in the beginning, the morning. Remember, I said that you want to sit up on your side, take the 1 to 3 minute pause. Then you're going to slowly swing your feet around to the edge of the bed, touch the floor, wait again for the 1 to 3 minute pause. Here is where I would intersect with the cracker or graham cracker or saltine or cracker of your choice to absorb the stomach acid. Then once you're up and you're moving around, I like to prepare smaller meals throughout the day, and you could then have your B12 supplement. You could start your batch of tea. You could be drinking red raspberry tea, ginger tea, chamomile, green tea. So mamas, I hope some of this information was useful for you. Please drop us a question down below if you have other questions about the video that I posted, or if you have comments about the video that I posted. Share with us some things that worked for you so we can share those things with our ladies in our village. And thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe and you watch more videos on our channel. Bye, ladies.